Welcome to the Veterinary Rehabilitation Podcast, where we aim to help fellow veterinary rehab therapists increase their knowledge and elevate their practice. I'm Megan Kelly.
And I'm Anae Lloyd. Together, we bring you the latest insights, research, and information in the field of veterinary rehabilitation.
This podcast is brought to you by Onlinepethealth, a leading continuing education membership for veterinary rehabilitation therapists. With Onlinepethealth, you'll have access to a wide range of online resources to help you stay up to date with the latest techniques, advances, and trends in the industry.
Our podcast features in-depth conversations with leading experts in veterinary rehabilitation. They share their own experiences and knowledge to help you improve your practice. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out in the field, our goal is to provide you with the tools and the insights you need to succeed.
So join us as we explore the exciting world of veterinary rehabilitation and help you take your practice to the next level. Hey Vet Rehabbers, this week on the Veterinary Rehabilitation Podcast, Anae is joined by Cathy Erwin from Walkabout Harnesses. And trust me, this conversation is one every vet rehab therapist needs to hear. Together they dive into the world of assisted devices. So we're talking slings, harnesses, soft braces, all the tools that can make a massive difference in a patient's comfort and a caregiver's confidence. Cathy shares how these devices don't just support mobility, they improve quality of life, boost owner compliance, reduce overwhelm, and in many cases provide a compassionate alternative to euthanasia, or even help delay that decision while still keeping the animal comfortable. If you're looking for practical ways to better support your patients and their people, this episode is packed with insights that will expand your toolkit and your impact. Now, if you're not a member already of our amazing online communities of vet rehabbers from all over the world, we gather in our Facebook groups. If you haven't joined yet, you can head over to Facebook and request to be a part of the action. Our groups include small animal vet rehabbers, equine vet rehabbers, hydro vet rehabbers, and our business vet rehabbers. Those are the ones that are juggling patient care and running their own practices. Now, we regularly share tips, advice, and host live sessions with experts to support you on your vet rehab journey. So please come and join us. A quick word from our sponsors before we dive into today's topic. At Paw Prosper, we believe true pet well-being demands a three-pronged approach: prevention, support, and rehabilitation. Our brands are trusted by veterinarians, universities, and rehab facilities alike. So whether you're looking to train, rehabilitate, or help your patients age gracefully, our brands, Walking Pets, Help 'em Up, Respond Animal Therapeutics, Fit Paws, Muffins, Halo, Sleepy Pod, and Canine Cards offer effective, innovative, and proven solutions. You can sign up today to receive a one-time special gift for all our listeners. With your next order, you just have to head over to the special link at pawprosper.com/OPH. Right, over to Anae and Cathy.
Hi guys, and welcome. Hi Cathy, thank you so much for joining me today.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So guys, thank you so much for coming to join us today. Cathy Erwin is joining us from Walkabout Harnesses, and we're going to be chatting about quality of life and the role that rehab devices can play during potentially the end phases of life or in delaying the decision to pursue euthanasia. And in some cases, I think potentially completely putting off that decision for a very long time. So I think that's really awesome. Cathy, will you please introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about your journey and how you developed an interest in assistive devices?
Okay, so again, my name is Cathy Erwin, and I live in Santa Cruz, California. And ever since I was young, I started to work in the veterinary field. And throughout the years, I saw the veterinary field working to educate themselves in a lot of ways to becoming better. And in 1980s, I started to work in specialty veterinary medicine, where they had, neurology and oncology was developing, and pretty much the pioneers in the industry of orthopedic surgery, working with a lot of board certified surgeons. And as the head of a very comprehensive veterinary hospital, they were doing really recovery surgeries, laminectomies, just neurological surgeries for IVDD. And I was in charge of recovering and working with go home instructions for these back patients. And just the level of methods to recover was the towel method, which, as you know, goes under the abdomen. You lift the towel, and it's very cumbersome. So we had a lot of patients that were recovering. So at the time, I just worked to develop a way to rehabilitate them, by putting them in slings and walking them that way. And, moving towards recovering that way without a towel. Because when you put a towel under the abdomen, they would either not be able to go to the bathroom or pee all over you. It also did not hold their bodies properly. They would hunch under, and I was always nervous about where the back incision was and hurting that. So as time went on, there was, I surfed a lot. I was on the ocean, and I've been surfing a long time, and I used neoprene for my own, wetsuits were great. And also being a runner and being very athletic, recovering some injuries I had with neoprene. And I felt it was a very forgiving and like a second skin on the body. So I went down the store and I bought some neoprene, and I put some leg holes in it. And actually the first design I ever created became the Walkabout back end harness. So, I could go on for days and days and days of every story of every situation that I did, but I was like, wow, this is fabulous. And all the veterinary surgeons around were starting to, enjoy that the recovery was going to be enhanced. And we started to see quicker recoveries with that. And, it was a nice soft 2 little holes with some soft padding around it and long handles so we could all stand straight up. And that was the start of it. And that was actually the first one in 1986. There was there's a lot of sad stories that happened. We had one gentleman who had his dog, a big German Shepherd, that he couldn't take home out of the hospital because his back was bad. And, getting a Walkabout for him to use on his dog enabled him to take his dog home to rehabilitate and get him back to walking. And the thing that was mind-blowing to me, and I mean really seriously mind-blowing, was that, these laminectomies, the surgeries and the decompression on, their cervical or their, anyway, they became able to walk again. Okay, so they would do the surgeries. A lot of them had deep pain, and they would move to be able to walk, recover, basically. And having a way to do that, and how it was set up with the Walkabout back end harnesses, we kind of used it like a puppet walking, where you could start to see them move along, and their pelvis was held level. And so they could use their front legs and come along. And, my whole entire world changed, that I wanted every dog to be rehabilitated this way, to a point of becoming a soldier in that effort to make dogs get these products. And there was no internet. There was like me, going to shows and going and meeting surgeons or going and meeting veterinarians, and there was no veterinary rehabilitation at that point. That was not, something that was really a thing at that time. So I just basically got in the trenches, and just because I enjoyed this, it didn't become, I'm gonna get these out there. And
I so love what you're saying, because it really highlights that that innovative and problem solving thing that I've seen in so many of us in this industry, where we identify an issue with the current way that we're doing things, right? The towel method is biomechanically so uncomfortable and bad for us, but also for the patients, it isn't ideal. We're not putting pressure in the right place. Our spinal biomechanics and pelvic biomechanics are all changed, and then the hind legs cannot come under or be used in the correct way. And so you kind of identified that and then found a practical and very user-friendly solution that now is very much standard practice. There's probably harnesses like this available in every rehabilitation practice that I know of, at least. And I think that is so valuable. And from our biomechanics and our long-term health, that's so important because we're seeing so many patients. But you also mentioned an elderly owner who needed help with his bigger dog. That is huge. That is huge. It means that they can continue to be a team long past the point where they would have had to stop or make a different decision for both of them. And I think that's it for me. That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that was the gradual change right there. That man is a symbol for me of that change, because, it was heartbreaking to watch him, that he couldn't bring his dog home. And he just, we love our dogs so much. This is, just such a part of our life. And, that joy to watch him be able to take his dog home, was a step. And, this is a long life for me of being with a veterinarian at the time when a dog is unable to walk, and then they have to make that, they make that hard choice. Well, it's time. There's nothing we can do for you. And over these last, many, many, many years is when, I sometimes get people who have their second or third dog in this situation say, I wish I knew about you before. Yeah. Because, that decision can be extended to try, some rehabilitation mobility devices, and take that time to be able to see there are other ways to have a relationship with your dog, whether they are going to recover well, or maybe not be able to recover completely, and then to be, available to discuss all the different options, whether, you're grabbing a wheelchair or, a mobility device, or everything out there to help buy that time, and it's interesting. And I didn't know it all along, but when I realized that these were choices that can hold off euthanasia, which back in the day was just, sorry, nothing we can do. It's time. And, for the longest time, I worked in the veterinary hospital as the grief counselor, the one to go in and take the time with the person. And I think it's just something that, as in the vet rehabilitation industry, you can just sit there and work with people, that it doesn't have to be so abrupt. That change that goes on by being able to offer these choices is what has become a beautiful part of the industry, actually. And so people are going to turn around and start writing letters and saying, thank you. You gave me time with my dog. You explained how to do this. And, I'm going to be the first person, like, the Miracle on 34th, that says go to Macy's or Gimbals. If this is not the right product that I have in my product line, we're going to send you over here to talk to these people. And the product industry is so deep now that a client or a pet owner can go to get these other products or explore different options. And it's pretty neat. Yeah, it's
amazing.
It's pretty neat for the pet owner. And like I'm like a veterinary rehabilitation product geek, so like, oh, look at that, and go try that and check that out. And I would have to put myself in that geek category.
You'd be in very good company, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Right. So you kind of highlighted these two big areas where assistive devices would be very helpful, and that's in improving the quality of life, right, at the end. So having better owner relationships, you mentioned better time, better quality time with the patient or with the pet, and then being able to maintain mobility. That one. And improving recovery, making it easier for the owner to be able to perform day-to-day activities during a recovery period, but also making it more effective and efficient because we have better tools at our disposal. I love that. So which patient groups do you, in your experience, tend to benefit the most from assistive devices?
Well, patient groups meaning breed or type of pet or
So,
problem or issue.
so
I
I,
mean,
I would,
every dog out there is going to benefit from rehabilitation or assistive devices that's in need. I mean, there isn't, you're going to take it anywhere from knee injuries, preventative care, to end stage geriatric weakness, kidney problems, just that generalized weakness in the back end, going up and downstairs, showing neurological problems. I mean, it's pretty vast. And I always tell people, it's like, if you're taking care of your grandparents or an elderly person, when you see what it is that they need to have care, if from going to sit to stand, or whether it's to be stable, or their back is hurt, to get through a flare up. There's so many different things. So you would have let's say a dog has had an amputation, and they're older. They've been an amputee since they're 2 or 3 years old, but now they're 14 or 15, and their carpal the carpus is breaking down, and they're a front amputee, or their elbow is being compromised or having arthritis. And you can brace these to have more mobility. And usually maybe they would couple that with a little anti-inflammatory medication and a bracing to help them just be comfortable getting up, going out. Oh, my dog doesn't want to get up and go out anymore. He can't get up. And these braces make him feel so much better, whether it's the compression or the relief of that, early pain, going from, sitting to standing up, and, getting the needs of just getting out to the bathroom, and, having, a physical therapist counsel with what they need to be able to get comfortably outside, and how to wear these products properly, and to just continue on their life. And a lot of older patients are just kind of lying down or sleeping through a whole day, but they have to go from sitting, lying down, to going out, and getting some nice products on them to feel good. So I can't really say there's one
group,
one size fits all. Every size fits as every, whether they're a high level athlete needing some preventative care, or some early injuries that require bracing to prevent later on injury.
So really identifying the needs of the individual.
It's always going to be my favorite to watch a dog recovering from a back surgery, and be able or a cartilaginous embolism, to actually be able to find that way from not being able to walk to walking again, and actually putting him in a walkabout back end harness, and watching those mechanics start again. It's always, until I leave this earth, going to be just a beautiful thing for me to witness. I'm sorry.
No, I agree with you. I think that always remains kind of that remains a huge highlight. It doesn't matter how many times you've seen it. When a dog walks again, it is just the best feeling. It's amazing. I agree.
It really is, because I think those cases are mainly the ones where pet owners are just devastated, and they just don't know, and for everyone to, in the profession, to give them the confidence that they can get to the other side. They can slow this down, take a breath, and work through this issue that came up, where at first, I know for people it's very devastating. So, that's probably the hardest one, and the most important one out there, because to not be able to walk, it's this, again, the same with a person. If you get into that situation, how devastating you feel. And I put a lot of that, how I would feel as a person, onto how I would feel, as this pet owner working through that. It's good counseling.
Yeah, it sounds like the counseling component and the owner support is really important to you. You've mentioned that a few times now.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little bit more tips or advice on how we can help owners transition to using mobility devices? Do you generally find that they find that transition very easy, or are there common areas where they face challenges, or where belief systems or fears might be limiting and restricting them, or where they make mistakes and where we can help them prevent those mistakes?
Yeah. Well, I think no matter what, you have the, let's put it in the hands of the dog, and here you are, you're running in, you're like, I got this great product, and you're gonna love it, and they hate it. No, they don't understand. I always say it's like a retraining. You're going to be retraining yourself and your dog. So a lot of times people want to put, the assistive device on the pet, and then it says, in the video show, and out they're going to go, and they go mannequin. So I say to just relax a minute with it. Maybe, put it on when they're having their dinner, and let's say we're working on the back end harness, and you get them in a position where they're distracted and eating, and put this harness on and help them stand. And every pet is different, and every pet's approach to something different like this. And it's like working with a toddler or a horse, to just not overwhelm them. So whatever that would need, and I do a lot of counseling with a lot of pet owners as to find out what the problem is and what happened, and then work backwards. Maybe just put the product on for a little bit, and then open the back door, because they love to go out, and their mind will suddenly be off what they felt you were making them do or wanting them to do. So to go slow that way. Or let's say they like to get in the car, and if you put a harness on and you want to go in the car, get your keys, that mind, they'll change their thought, which will help be able to get into that distraction. And a lot of times pets will see, oh wow, for example, I think when a back end isn't keeping up with a front end of a dog, they get very upset emotionally. And then I always would go, a dog really just wants to go from point A to point B, however they get there, whether they're walking properly or they're dragging their back end. They're there, they're gone. So get that distraction out, so they want to go from point A to point B, and they'll go, oh, okay, where are we going next? And then it's over. So breaking down that emotional barrier, whether it's the pet owner, oh, I'm going to hurt him, or just relying on not being stuck in your head, but getting in your body and where you want to go, has been the greatest way for me to see how they can move forward. And that's
Yeah,
the
that's
best
some
way.
great advice. Yeah.
Yeah, or put the product on and get on the couch and watch TV.
So they just get comfortable. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I love that. I really like the, get them traveling somewhere so they're motivated to move forward, going from point A to point B, and just talking to the client and finding the challenges that they're facing, really connecting with them. That was a big thing that I got from you now. Really highlighting that relationship that we get to develop with them, which I love.
Yeah, but
So,
just relaxing. So if you go in, you go into your, vet rehab appointment, and you talk with a professional, and they say, well, this is, how you're going to do it. And people will bog down immediately. It's too much information, so being in that position to say, now just relax, and just, get from point A to point B. And it doesn't have to be beautiful. They don't have to take these steps that they took, during their rehab appointment. Just back it up and wait and relaxing, and it'll come along. So it's very overwhelming, and trying to break that level of being overwhelmed is really where the professional comes in. You're showing these techniques of recovery, but being able to actually, implement them is really hard once a pet parent leaves, an appointment. They've got this assistive device, and they're just, having a hard time, whether it's getting it put on, the dog won't sit still, what to do. It's stressful.
it's stressful.
Yeah. And one of
I
the things I really enjoy is talking to pet owners about, getting through that.
Yeah.
That's important.
I do find that on the positive side, in a lot of cases, when you're using an assistive device, it's like you can bridge that skill gap more effectively, right? So it's comes so naturally to us to support dogs in a biomechanically sound way, to do some gait retraining. It's part of our kind of every day. It comes so naturally. It's easy. And we can do it with or without assistive devices a lot of the time because we know where to put our hands and what to do, but the owners don't. And that skill gap can be really hard for them to overcome in the home retraining program if we're dealing with an injury. And an assistive device like the harness or a sling can bridge that gap hugely, and it can help them to give a good quality movement or exercise or walk or whatever it may be in a biomechanically sound and comfortable way for the dog without them having to go climb this mountain of developing a whole new skill. So that's one of the big things with assistive devices that I find really valuable.
Yeah, well, the recovery is important in stages, so that the recovery isn't overcompensated on one side as to the other, creating that balance and movement coming along. So assistive devices are going to really enable that recovery to come along balanced and evenly, so that let's say it's a neurological recovery, and even if you may have some deficits in the long run, you haven't healed those wrong to create those. So having that in between stage where they're being recovered properly in corrective devices, and using them as a tool to efficiently improve is really important. That step may get missed a lot.
Yeah.
And you do your best to, if you're in these counseling sessions or rehabilitation sessions, to look further. Maybe there might be a recovery gap, and work to strengthen that side, or recreating your program to get the balance on both, rather than, oh, you're overcompensating and leaning on the right, leading to maybe a further knee injury, or just the biomechanics of the recovery. When you have a assistive device that helps use the body mechanically properly,
Yeah.
that recovery becomes so much better in the long run down the road. And
Yeah.
those are the harder things to explain to a pet owner, that you would come back at these appointments and show, oh, this is developing, and this is definitely something we need to work on, and just reshaping the program. And with that length of time in those counseling appointments, you do get to see pet owners becoming more knowledgeable and liking that power of being able to see it, and then maybe spreading that forward to other people out in their neighborhoods who are explaining the same. And the snowball effect is
Amazing.
really, really great, rather than the give up, oh, my dog had this, you need to make a decision.
Yeah, definitely. I agree
That
with
whole area is just moving out of the side.
Cathy, where can our listeners learn more about you and about the Walkabout products?
Well, we have our website, walkaboutharnesses.com, and like anything, you have a lot of information on there, and I think it's good with a veterinary professional to go over these sites and these assistive devices that are being offered, and how they would work well for an individual pet. And I'm available also to email anyone who might have a question about, hey, I have this, that, and the other thing, what should I do? And we work to find practitioners in any area that they live. And so I think my site is it's packed very thick with a lot of information. So if anyone needs information navigating my site, or what they might need, I'm here for counseling as well on my site.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cathy, for taking the time to join us today, sharing your knowledge and experience. It's been really great having you. Guys listening, thank you so much. Have an awesome day.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please hit the subscribe button so you get notified every time I load a new podcast. I'm here every week talking to vet rehab therapists from all over the world about all things vet rehab. A big thanks to our sponsor, Paul Prosper. Their sponsorship allows us to be able to give this podcast to you for free, so please go and check them out, paulprosper.com. Don't forget to bookmark the next Vet Rehab Summit. It's on Saturday, the 31st of October, 2026. Come and be a part of the world's largest online veterinary rehabilitation conference created specifically for you, the vet rehabber community. Onlinepethealth members get VIP complimentary access to the Vet Rehab Summit. For more information about continuing education for vet rehabbers, you can go to onlinepethealth.com. And if you want access to our free membership, we update the webinars in this area every 3 months. You can sign up at onlinepethealth.com/free.